comments below, and we'll put those on the screen. The whole crew is here. We are definitely 6 feet apart. We're 600 miles apart. Big triangle.
A little bit.
Yeah.
We're like an isosceles triangle of podcasting, I think, or equilateral kind of. I'm trying to picture. We'd be kind of on our side. I'd be the point out to the left.
Oh, never mind. I got a stick.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to answer your questions. And the good news is for the Friday show, we're going to involve you guys like we've been doing with all the community check-ins, which I apologize for not being there last night. I'm still fighting a bit of a headache. It was really bad last night, but we'll be back tomorrow night with another community check-in for Tuesday night. But for Friday's show, right after we do the listener questions right here on this stream, we're going to take calls. If you want to talk to Rikki or Pam, check in with them. You have questions for them because you've heard all my stories. So we'll have that going for the Friday show. So we'll have that coming up next. So if you have a question or you want to call in after the listener questions, I'll open up the phone lines and we'll do that. And let me switch to this thing down here and get rid of that. There, that looks better. I like the green. It's nice and getting green here.
Yes. Well, it's been green here for a while.
75 right now outside and sunny. It's going to be 85 here tomorrow and Wednesday.
Put up some swim trunks and lay out on the back.
There you go.
My hammock is going to be in full effect tomorrow.
Yes.
Hammock in full effect.
Yes.
All right, we have a lot of folks in here. Thanks for dropping in, guys. And like I said, we are going to be answering your listener questions. If you have a question, put it in the comments below. Also, we're going to open the phone lines for any Friday shows. It's going to be an open line Friday. So if you want to call
open mic.
Well, open
Scary
line.
thought, right?
It is.
That's what we do every week.
Yeah.
We have our Friday night happy hours. You're going to have to join us for one of those.
Oh my gosh.
Check
is there drinking? I'm
is
sure.
There beer?
Oh, we always show our drinks. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that I've got water. Is that?
I feel like Airplane, he's like, I picked a bad week to stop.
Stop drinking. Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah, exactly. That movie is so funny. All we need is a Ron in the chat. I don't see him here yet.
No.
I won't be able to stop laughing. Where is a Ron? There's Anthony. He's East South North Carolina.
I don't know.
To the left. Okay, here we go. You see, George, Friday happy hour is the best. I'm telling you, we have fun on that show with the calls. Everybody calls in, tells us their drink, and we talk Disney or we talk life. It doesn't matter.
Nice. That's awesome.
We didn't do it last night because I didn't feel good. Saturday night for the call in, we learned about one of our listeners is a grad student and her university was shut down. She had to take her grad project home. She's studying fruit flies that have epilepsy.
Oh my God.
She told us all about it because my question was, how do you know if a fruit fly has epilepsy?
Right. That's good.
Because we all have the same kind of like proteins in our systems, even bugs and us.
Huh.
And you can tell through the proteins. It was crazy.
Weird.
Yeah, let's see. I'll put that show up maybe tomorrow. It was awesome. It was a great show.
That's so
fruit
bizarre.
flies with epilepsy. Who knew?
Huh.
See, if we wouldn't had all this happen, we'd have probably never talked about that on the podcast.
I mean, 100%.
There, that's better.
Oh my God, Mike, are you just going to be wearing hats the rest of your life, basically, right now?
I always wear hats.
I know.
I just have a lot more hair under the hat. All right, let's do this. Listener questions. Do you have a question? Put it in the chat below. We have one from Phillips. That's good. I would say yes, probably, but we don't know. All right, let's see here. Let's do it. 1636. Whoever's breathing like Darth Vader, knock it off.
I'll move my mic away. Probably is me.
I put the screen on it.
It turned off. Okay, here we go. Welcome to episode 1636 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Wednesday to you. And speaking of the Magic for Less Travel, just so you know, those agents at the Magic for Less, we're still working hard. It's not like we're just chilling out and, all that stuff while Disney's closed. We're working hard because we understand that our guests want to get to Walt Disney World. They want to go on those cruises. They want to head out to Disneyland. They want to do their Adventures by Disney trips as soon as it is feasible and safe and everybody's ready and in that mindset. And I've said this many times, I got to thank all the guests who have been patient with us. We are doing everything we can. This is very unforeseen for the Disney company, obviously for us and for everybody involved. but your patience and your kindness and your understanding in these difficult times is very much appreciated. So I just want to pass that along from all the agents, because we all talk together. You guys are wonderful and sticking with us. So many of our guests are postponing and not canceling. That is awesome, because I think you're going to really appreciate that next trip. So I just want to say that on the top of the show, because we don't get to say that enough. Thank you for your patience, your understanding, and your continuing love of travel. We love you for that. So we're going to have a good time down at Walt Disney World here very soon. Joining me today to answer your listener questions, we have Rikki from DisneyWorldAfterAll.com a long time ago, TouringPlans.com, and the Mouse for Less. I got it out before I could stop, so I just had to correct it on the end.
I knew you were going to get it out before you could correct it.
I'm just the talking head. I can't think that much. So
exactly. It's just easy to just roll it off, but no. Just living the dream, man. I have some exciting news though. So for those of you who have enjoyed Onward, like so many people that I know in my life, I just wanted to let you know that according to the guy who is in charge of like making the film, I think it's Dan Scanlon, I think is what his name is. Anyway, I got it wrong probably, but that's fine. He has announced that they are making a Quest of Yore board game. So if you wanted to play the Quest of Yore board game, like Barley does in the movie, you will be able to later this year. So just for those who are looking forward to this.
Oh wait, a board game calling Quest of Boar? That doesn't sound very exciting. I'm sorry, I'm not big into board games. I mean, a boring board game. Don't think.
Oh my
I've
God.
been playing Mexican Train Dominoes, and that's about to kill me.
So using that the next time I message somebody about this game, by the way.
Just kidding. You know me.
That's fantastic. So anyway, yeah. So for those who want to play Quest of Yore, it will be available later this year, apparently. So
I haven't seen Onward. That's the movie that has like the dad comes back as a pair of pants.
Yes.
Or something like that.
Yes, he comes back as a pair of pants.
Okay. All right, I'll check that one out. All right. Also joining us, she's like, I'm dying here. I might just bail out before you even introduce me. She's like bailing. She's jumping. We have Pam Forrester still there by a hair. She's from the Magic Celeste Travel. What's up, Pam?
I'm doing good. Happy Wednesday. We're making it. That's all I can say. We're making it.
Yes.
We're hanging.
We're hanging in there. We really are. We really are trying. So yeah, I mean, I think some days are better than others, right?
True story.
I think that eventually we're going to get to the part where we can all start thinking about how we can pull our lives back together. And oh my gosh, I'm tired of my house, first of all. I think.
Oh, yes.
I'm tired of travel. I'm tired of like the furthest I travel is my house to the park. I mean, that's like exciting. I mean, we're like, woohoo, we're going to the park. So anyways, I mean, I don't know. I can't wait until we can travel again. That is absolutely 100% the number one thing I miss. And of course, it makes sense. And
yes.
This is what we do, but still, the thought that you can't just go to some of your favorite places in the world right now it's crazy.
Well, as you know, that I had that meme that my favorite things like that I'm missing are apparently going to restaurants, going shopping, and touching my face. So
add travel to that, and that's pretty much my life.
Exactly. So those are all the things that I miss doing.
Yes, there are 4 things. I know, and you never realized how much you touched your face.
No,
recently, right?
What?
I know.
Exactly. I know. We all just go and touch our face now. Yes, it's just like ingrained in our head.
And how much I did go to non-essential businesses. Apparently, because they're all closed. I'm like, oh wait, I could can't do that.
No.
I never thought I'd want to go to the grocery store. Like
I know, right?
We've been sending Paige, and like I haven't even seen it. I haven't seen the outside world in forever, except for and I haven't been running for a week, and that's even worse because my hip's killing me. So,
oh my gosh, you old man.
I know. Tell me about it. All right, let's get to the first question. Enough of that. We're getting back to the normalcy. Bethany's asking, how soon in November are the parks and resorts decorated for Christmas? What are we talking? Like they start with the parks usually around by the second week of November. They kind of start there in the Magic Kingdom.
The parks are usually done by that first weekend in November, because they want to get that wine and dine crowd usually. So they usually have it done, and they want to get Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party as quick as possible to get that started going. So they don't really have much of a break in between, Mickey's Not So Scary and Mickey's Very Merry. So that is probably the first weekend. Now, as far as the resorts go, they start going up about that second week ish, but it's a slow process. So it's not every single resort goes up that second week. They have like different resorts that go first, and then they'll move to the next resorts, and then move to the next. So that the resorts overall take a little bit longer.
Yeah, and some of them actually do not decorate until Thanksgiving.
Correct. So
just like sometimes it pops up overnight. So
yes,
that's kind of a cool thing.
Magic.
Yes, it is.
It really is. Yeah, last year I think or the year before, we were there over Thanksgiving, and like the next morning we got up and our resort was decorated. So, and there was nothing the day before.
And there's no like indication that it's coming either until you wake up the next morning. You're like, ta-da, it's Christmas.
I know.
Yeah.
So,
well, too, I've had a lot of folks who had to cancel over a spring trip, and the week that they've picked that 7 or 8 day period where they can get the last Halloween party, the first Christmas party, and kind of get the best of both worlds. So again, making lemonade out of lemons,
let me go back and let them know about the other parks. So Hollywood Studios is usually that first weekend as well. Usually, let me say, they usually go about the same time Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party does. Animal Kingdom, since they now have decorations, I think that they're going about that same time frame, right around there, maybe the weekend after, but somewhere around there. And then Epcot doesn't usually get in full Christmas gear until after Thanksgiving, so just keep that in mind. They may have some decorations up, but they don't start the real celebrations like Candlelight Processional and all that until after Thanksgiving.
All right. Sounds good. Philip's got a question. He says, has a trip planned for September. What do you think the chances are for heavy room discount or other big discounts to come out due to the closure they've been under? Pam, what are your thoughts on, again, we're just speculating here because we don't, Disney doesn't run things by us like for September. Like, hey, what are you thinking in April? They don't tell us any period. It's just boom. Hey, guess what? We got something. But what do you think? I mean, just guessing.
I think it's really going to depend on a few things. First of all, there is a recovery offer that is available to guests whose trips were impacted by this. So right now, that's covering a number of dates that we may have seen less crowds for in the past. There also will be a number of guests who are really excited to go back to Walt Disney World.
Yep.
And will want to be there as soon as they can get there after it opens. So that's really going to impact things too. I think all discounts, regardless of whether they're, what type of discount they are, they're really dependent upon filling up those rooms that aren't already full. And if they're full, and they don't need the discounts, then they may not offer any more. We'll just have to see how it goes on. So if it's a time that you're really interested in, get something on the books. I know I mentioned this a few weeks ago, but we're seeing the availability on certain dates not be there as much as we thought it would be. So
yeah, well, when you shut off half the year or whatever, the other half that is open is going to fill up a lot quicker.
Yeah, I mean, because for the Disney fans that really want to travel, which is this audience right here,
right?
We are more invested if you're listening to a podcast. What's happening is every day that the park's closed, you have 365 possible days to get down in a typical year. Yep. Or this year, you're going to have the same pent up demand because we've been and I think it's going to be higher demand in some cases. Some people may be a little sketch, kind of wait and see. I get it. We have different places on the spectrum we're going to fall when it comes to travel, but it's one of those things that we're going to have a tighter area there. I think this fall is going to be an outstanding time to be there because I think you're going to be there with the big Disney fans, which I
agree. And what I was thinking about this the other day. You almost feel bad for Mickey's Runaway Railroad attraction.
Oh, I know, right?
Barely got off the ground, right? And by most accounts, was getting positive feedback. People liked it. It's a cool attraction that the whole family can enjoy together. I love that. And I was just thinking to myself, poor Mickey's Runaway Railroad, because you didn't really get the big, yeah.
No, because it was supposed to open last summer, and then it didn't because of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, and then you had this when it officially did open in the middle of March. So yeah, it's kind of a bummer.
And what's weird is I had just gotten back from the press event when all this
Yeah.
exploded. So all the publicity that we normally would have, rolled out and had all kinds of stuff on, we just didn't get to do it. So anyways, but I mean, there's so many things I'm looking forward to, but that is one I want to ride it again and again. I rode it a few times and now I want to ride it again. So.
She's rubbing it in, I feel like, right now. I got on Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway.
This summer. I'm going to be there this summer. All right. Spencer's got a question. He's currently booked at Old Key West, but thinking about moving over waitlisting Bay Lake Tower. He's going down for a DVC trip. What are the pros and cons of Old Key West versus Bay Lake Tower? Now, I'll admit, I've never stayed at Bay Lake Tower. I've never stayed at the Contemporary, which I got to fix that. Been there many times, but Old Key West, God, I love Old Key West. It is so communal. It feels like you're living at Walt Disney World when you stay there. It does not feel hotel-y. It feels like a community. Like I love the feel. I love the music. I love Olivia's. I love the pool. I love how spread out it is. I love that it's on a golf course. It's just the perfect Florida vibe for me. So there you have it. Cons, you're not obviously close to a theme park. You're taking a bus there. You really need a car. If you get stuck back in the back of the resort, it's a long walk up to the main area. So those are some of the cons. Bay Lake Tower, obviously, walking to the Magic Kingdom. Boom, you're there in a blink. It's very current. It's very modern. It's very new. You have the monorail access if you walk over to the Contemporary. Pam, what else am I thinking about pros and cons for Old Key West and Bay Lake Tower? Because you stayed at both.
Yeah, so I feel like you do, Mike, so often that Old Key West really feels like almost like a timeshare community or a vacation community of old, right?
Without that big deal, like on what was the show, Good Luck Charlie, where your daughter has to sit in as your wife,
right? Yeah, right. Without the timeshare. Yeah, for sure. It's a lot. A lot of people have been going there for years. They're used to walking the resort. They don't even get a car so often, a bunch of people. And you're right, Mike, it is a long walk from the back to the front. So it's something to consider. So the good things about Old Key West, this is the good and bad, right? It feels like it's off the beaten path, out of the action, all that. So for some, that's good. And for some, that's bad. The thing about the Contemporary is that you are right there in the middle of the action, and you have the, all the Magic Kingdom, of course, is right there. The Epcot is not too far. I mean, nothing's too far from the Contemporary. No. And you're right there within monorail or boat to many different resorts. You can go over it's easy to get someplace to go eat. If you get tired of the restaurants at your hotel, you're within striking distance of so many. That's not really the case with Old Key West, but on the positive with Old Key West, you do have the boat to Disney Springs. So that's someplace that you can always get to for that. Another thing I think about Old Key West is challenging for us is that breakfast in the morning, the choice is you either have a full-on breakfast at Olivia's or they have a really tiny menu at their grab-and-go location. And so it's technically a quick service, but there's not a lot of options there. That's really not a problem at Bay Lake because you're attached to the Contemporary. So you're going to have a bigger option there. So lots of great things about both resorts. There's also something that I always recommend to guests. Go over, the Mouse for Less has great pictures of the insides of the resorts. See if one appeals or doesn't appeal to you, because those are the rooms you're going to be living in.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you're going to, your stuff's going to be spread out. You're going to be there. Is that a place that you want to stay, or is it something that doesn't really feel great to you? And check out that stuff.
Let me ask you this, Rikki. So say Disney calls you today, you've won a weekend, either at Bay Lake Tower or Old Key West. Doesn't cost you anything. You just got to pick which one you want to stay. Which one would you pick?
Because it's on my bucket list still, I would go with Contemporary. I would go with Bay Lake Towers. So I think I would have done that anyway, even if it wasn't on my bucket list. I do like Old Key West. Don't get me wrong. I think it's a great resort. But just to be able to stay at the Contemporary, there's just still something so magical about that. So.
All right, let's get a question here from London, England. I'm just kidding. It's Logan, England, but I come on all of our community. That's the thing is we are becoming such a community with these live call-in shows we do every night of the week now. I feel like we're family and I can make fun of you now. So just be ready. We're all getting close.
Sorry, guys, you're all on the making fun
All right,
list,
yes,
like
yes,
like
ready.
the rest of us. Yeah.
That's right. I'm learning more about our listeners than they ever wished I knew. All right, question time. He says, which would be better for a January honeymoon, Disneyland or Walt Disney World? Well, Walt Disney World annual pass holders only live 2 hours south of home. So they live in South Florida. So what would you say? You guys have been to both? Pam, if you had to pick in January honeymoon, do you go to World or do you go to here? I'm going to say Disneyland because it's more exotic if you live in Florida. You know, it's more of a getaway escape. Like it's more of an adventure probably to go to the West Coast, but that's the only thing I'm basing it on. So Pam, what do you say?
That's what I was going to say, that you'd probably been to World quite a few times. So land might be someplace that you haven't been as often, and there's lots of things to do. The other side of that is that I feel like World represents a more resort-like vacation in terms of you have a number of different resorts from which to choose. There are tons of restaurants and all of that. So that's something to consider too. But if you do go to Disneyland, do not listen to everyone who says you don't need to stay on site.
It's a special trip. Stay at the
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So you're going to want to stay on site. There is something about the Disney resorts out there too that I really appreciate. And of course, I love the Disneyland Resort and Grand Californian are two of my favorite resorts, period. But I like Paradise Pier as well. But those two in particular, I really like. So consider that. There's something about being in that Disney bubble. And I think that if you're doing a special trip, you'll absolutely want to do that.
Going Disneyland too, Rikki?
Yeah, I'm going Disneyland, especially because I had been planning a Disneyland trip for this year at some point. Hopefully that will still happen. I have a lot of credit with Southwest because I've bought plane tickets that I now have to have credit for. So I'm assuming I'm probably going out to Disneyland at some point now. At this point, Southwest has a lot of my money at this point right now because the canceled cruise. I was going to Seattle, and then I was planning on going to Disneyland too this year. So Southwest has a lot
free
of my
for
money.
a while.
Southwest has a lot of my money. Yeah, except for it's supposed to expire at some point. So Southwest has a lot of my money.
Area. I love Southwest. We have a Southwest flight attendant always listens in. Amy.
Awesome. Hey, well, hook me up. I have a lot of money with you guys right now that I would like not to expire.
All right, Diane's got the next question. Hey, everyone, going on a 4-night cruise aboard the Dream over New Year's later this year, hopefully. We're flying into Orlando a couple days early and staying 2 nights at the Beach Club. How early do the cruise line buses come to transfer you to the cruise port? I'm hoping to get a reservation for the Bon Voyage breakfast at Trattoria Al Forno on that morning. Wondering if we will have enough time. Thanks. Pam, what would you do? Could you get a quick character breakfast in if you did it early?
Yeah, most of the time you can, especially if you're going to do it really early. I hate to give you an exact time on that because they actually that fluctuates when your bus is going to pick you up, but you will get some transportation information as you get a little closer to your cruise to see when to do that. I would just try to plan it for as early as you can get it that day, and then plan on going back to your resort because that's where they will pick you up.
That's right. Yeah, I would say you could do it. Just get the earliest ADR you can get. But here's my thing. Okay, let me just say this. This is me being cheap. This is me being practical. About 24 hours before embarkation of a cruise, I stop eating.
It's valid.
Because I know.
No, it's totally valid.
No, I'm just saying, here's the deal. Scott, my buddy Scott, hashtag Scotty G, my best friend, buddy.
Rolling eyes, by the way.
For breakfast the day we were getting on a cruise. And I'm like, Scott, eat a Pop-Tart. And then as soon as you get on the cruise, we're going to be eating for a week. It's all paid for. Scotty G, we're not doing it if we didn't. So I'm just saying. I mean, I know you want to do the experience of the you want to get on that ship starving. I'm just saying, get your money.
That is not how Scotty G rolls.
No, that is not.
That's how Mike rolls.
That's how Mike Rollman rolls.
I was like, I'm not forking down another $200 for a character meal for my family when I'm getting on a ship here in a few hours. No way. That's just me, though. And Justin's got a great point. Every room at Old Key West should have a bike. That'd be cool.
That would be nice, actually. You can rent bikes. They do have a ton of bikes to rent there. So.
Can you imagine if they had the bikes at like every turn, like you have like here in Atlanta, like you just go and you pick up one of the bikes and then you drop it off at another location and then you go and you pick it up at another location. That would be awesome. Just saying.
And it seems like Disney would be a great place to do that because The chances that you're going to ride them off property
are very slim.
Yeah, you're not going to those things. You're right. I mean, you'd have to be like an Olympic athlete if you want to go off property.
Disney could do it themselves. Like they could have their own bike rental like kiosks. They don't even have to partner with anybody if they didn't want to, and they could totally do that. I think that would be a great idea.
Columbia
Disney,
was
we're
kind of a
giving you
mess,
good
though.
ideas.
But Columbia was kind of a mess. Columbia, Missouri at Mizzou when they had all those birds everywhere.
Yes.
Like, they just were everywhere. There was
Why
too
did
many.
it say birds? I just
Well, like the little, you know, like little scooters.
no, yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
birds. Yeah.
I knew what you meant. We
Yeah,
have
they're
them here in
birds.
Atlanta everywhere as well. But
Yeah.
I mean, the bikes are a nice thing. The birds are a little overwhelming sometimes. However, I have done them before, and they're a lot of fun and also get you places really fast. But I can't see that ever happening at Walt Disney anywhere at Walt Disney
It's
World.
more fun to watch the drunk college kids after a football game take a bird and like 4 people on one bird. I'm like, oh, this is not gonna. Boom, they hit a pole. Like, okay, I told you, I couldn't even get it out. That was not a good idea. It didn't even.
Wait, they were also being cheap. I mean,
Yeah,
fiscally
Look like,
responsible.
each guy's got like a 12 pack on his shoulder. Like, this is they can't balance normally. This is not boom.
Nope.
Hit a car. Park car. That's how it always went. Anyway, Morgan's got a great question. What are the must do's at Animal Kingdom Lodge? Must do's. So I would say you got to take, if you're staying there. First of all, I'll give 1 point.
Okay.
You got to take advantage of the dining you have on site. You have 4 amazing eating opportunities. You have Sanaa up at Kidani. Got to do that. We always talk about the bread service, but it's not just the bread service. You need to do it, but they also have other great entrees. But it's
Butter
just
chicken.
The butter chicken you really like. But the restaurant itself is just beautiful. You get a view of the animals. Do it before dark. I think it makes it better, but you could do it at night too. So take advantage of Sanaa. Boma is one of the best buffets. It's kind of expensive, but it's worth it. And of course, Chico is one of the signature restaurants that you just can't miss. It's a very unique dining opportunity. So all 3 of those. And also one other thing we're throwing kind of piggybacking on that, do the free tour of Boma and Chico, especially if you get a rainy day. It's absolutely free. You get to see the restaurants, they tell you like there's a table in Boma, why it's shaped that way. And they give you some food. Like they get a zebra dome, you get some bread from over at Chico. Anytime you get, again, back to what I said about the cruise, free food, hey, go do it. So there you go. I'm cheap twice, 2 questions in a row. All right, Pam, what else? What's a must do for Animal Kingdom Lodge?
So you have to, whether you have a room that overlooks the savannah or not, spend some time out in those areas and talk to the cast members that they have there. So many of them are from areas that the Animal Kingdom Lodge brings animals from. So they have some great experience to share with you. Talk to all of them about how long their plane ride was, because some of them came from so far away. It's just, that plane ride itself would be a killer, but they have so much great information to share. There's such a love of the animals and all of that. They have great activities out there at certain times. So you're absolutely going to want to check with the front desk about the activities that are occurring there. They have night vision goggles sometimes. They have times when you can watch the animals being fed. There's just all kinds of activities you can participate in. So you have to get involved. This is a resort that you're going to want to get involved in.
Absolutely. It's again, it's like Old Key West. There's certain resorts where it feels like Pop Century's fun, but it's a hotel. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a fun hotel, but it feels motel hotel-y. Like Animal Kingdom Lodge, Old Key West, Wilderness Lodge to a point almost feels like that's the destination. The theme parks are there, but that's the destination. What about you, Rikki? What's a not miss?
I think you guys have pretty much covered just about everything at the resort, which is fantastic. They do have really great pools. I know the one at Kidani is really, really wonderful. But the biggest thing that I could say is zebra domes. Make sure you get, if you don't go to Boma and you don't get the zebra domes there, they do sell them in the little shop that they have they have them at the Mara too. But if you just want a quick zebra dome to take back to your room, go into the shop and you can grab some there. They come in like a little 4-pack, so they're delicious.
I love those little 4-packs in the little clear plastic.
Yep,
to go box.
So good. They're so good.
All right. Question from Susie Campbell. Random cruise question. I like talking cruises. I'd sure like to be on one right now.
Yes.
Upon boarding the Fantasy, or we could just insert any ship.
Yeah.
Cabanas or the table service restaurant. I am always a Cabanas person. That's just, to me, like to go through that buffet, get anything I want. I love the buffets. I know a lot of people like sit down. Scott will do the sit down more than I do than me. He's like, let's have breakfast at the sit down. I'm like, no. I love buffets. That's me. And I know it's not for everybody. So I'm always Cabanas. Rikki, what about you?
I'm always, almost always the sit down. If I can, I would much rather go to the sit down restaurant and have, something to eat than I would Cabanas, but that's just me. So yeah, even for breakfast, I go to the sit down if I can. But usually I end up getting room service because I don't feel like getting up. So I just get
is breakfast served 24 hours? That's going
no,
for you.
No.
You got to get up. I know it's tough getting up by 11.
I know it really is, especially on a cruise.
It is. If you have an inside stateroom, it's lethal. If you don't have a window.
Oh my gosh, it is
I've had one of those before.
It is heavenly and the worst thing ever. Because you seriously can't, you cannot wake up because there is no light.
It's the best sleeping ever. Yeah.
It is so the best sleep ever. But if you want to try to get up, you actually have to force yourself, turn on a light or do something, because otherwise you're just going to be like, I'm awake. I'm back to sleep again.
Yep. That's the same thing. I was like, oh man, it's so dark. I know it's probably 10 o'clock, but it's so dark. I don't care.
It's so dark.
Yeah. All right, parents. So you table service or Cabanas or a mix of the both? Well, when you get on, when you first get on.
When you get on, it doesn't matter what you choose because they're both having very close to the same menu.
True.
Even the sit down restaurant is a buffet. That first day.
Sometimes I've been there and it's not.
When you get on?
Yep. I've gotten served full meal. Yeah.
They've always pushed us through. Even if we go to Enchanted Garden, they've pushed us through a buffet line.
Yeah.
When one of the last cruises I went on, they allowed us to get a full table service meal.
Yeah. It was just you.
Yeah, just me and my crew.
Yeah, because they usually
knew who I was. Not really.
They usually have the buffet set up in the sit down restaurant there.
I think it was at Royal Court actually, or it was Royal Court or Royal Palace. I think that I got a full table service meal.
So, okay.
All right. Megan's got a question. We just made our fast passes for June 1st through 3rd. We couldn't get a Mickey and Minnie's Railway fast pass. What are the chances one opens up before we go? And again, I think this is just a quick one. Just keep checking every day. You may, but I think that the focus is right there on that window because that's where, we don't know when the parks are going to open up. They could open up in May. They could open up in June. We don't know. But I think in a lot of people's minds, they're looking at the beginning of months. And I think a lot of people are probably focusing on a June 1 kind of time. So I just keep checking. I would say the chances are good because you have time on your side. It's only early April. So I would say just keep checking and check different times of the day. You might hit one. Jason's got a question. My good buddy Jason here. As a first-timer's trip to Walt Disney World, if money was no option, what single resort would you recommend and why? I like this question. So money's no option. And a first-timer. So you got to make sure that you're not looking I wouldn't recommend Old Key West for a first-timer. That's kind of like somebody that's returning, wants to feel like you're a resident at Walt Disney World. First-timer. Pam, I'm gonna let you go on that one. What do you say? Money's no object, so you can go deluxe.
Okay, so I am going to pick the Epcot area resorts, one of the Epcot area resorts. And I think I'll probably do Yacht Club or Beach Club. Yacht Club has been recently redone. Beach Club hasn't. It's in decent shape though. So one of those. And one of the reasons I'm going to do that is that it is within walking distance to one of the parks, but it's also within walking distance to that whole boardwalk entertainment area and all the other resorts in that space. So I think that's really important for a first timer, especially someone who's not quite sure what makes Disney different than other amusement parks that they may have gone to. I think the other plus about that area is that you can walk through Epcot and take the monorail to the Magic Kingdom and that area, the TTC. So that's kind of a plus too. I think the final clincher on that area is that pool at the Yacht Beach Club. I mean, that's an incredible pool and it gives you something to do outside of the parks too. So that's where I would send them.
I agree. That's the Epcot area resorts. I might Boardwalk too. I love something about Boardwalk, even though it doesn't have Stormalong Bay. I love the Boardwalk. There's a vibe over there. It's fun. All right. What about you? What'd you take?
So I'm gonna be different, and I'm gonna go with the Polynesian. When you think of Walt Disney World, I mean that's kind of one of the things you think about if you know anything about the history. So the Polynesian, it has such a great vibe. It is close to the Magic Kingdom, which is where a first timer is going to spend a lot of their time, I feel like. And it's just it's so homey. It really is. It's just got such a great homey vibe. So I'm going Polly.
All right. You can't go wrong with any of these. Also,
No.
I'd throw an honorable mention to Wilderness Lodge because I
Oh
just think
yeah.
it's beautiful. And when you pull up to that place, you're just like, wow. And then that
Yeah.
boat ride to the Magic Kingdom, it's sweet. Bus service is a little sketchy at Wilderness Lodge. It's not perfect.
Yeah.
But if you can get past that, Wilderness Lodge is a great destination. I think it's one of those places that it looks great when you look at it on a website. Like if you go to our website, go to the Magic for Less website and look at the pictures, it looks amazing in the pictures. But it's so grand, like you don't even grasp it until you walk in the lobby, or even not even walk in the lobby. Just walk up to there's steps
Yeah.
to go up to. It's unreal. Like you just don't get it till you're there, and then you're just like, awesome. All right, Philip's got a question. Our trip planned for September is for our family and our best friends, 10 total people, 4 adults, 6 kids that are 3 to 8 years old. Would you eat at Hollywood and Vine or Sci-Fi Dine-In? I'm a Sci-Fi Dine-In guy. I think it's about the experience, especially for kids. If there's 6 kids, they don't care. They'll eat anything. And you know what? The 4 adults, they have good hamburgers. They have their food's gotten better. I like their hamburgers and fries. I mean, hamburgers, fries, shakes, and the Sci-Fi Dine-In, I like that. I don't know. What do you guys say, Rikki?
I think I'm going to go with the sci-fi as well, because of the unique nature of it, and also because Hollywood and Vine doesn't have the best food necessarily. It doesn't get very good high marks for their food. And granted, I know sci-fi doesn't necessarily either, but I would much rather place an order for something than go to a buffet for something that's a little mediocre. So I would have a better shot at getting something decent to sit down. And I really do think that sci-fi has such a cool vibe to it, with the whole, you sit in the cars, you get to watch these, odd sci-fi type movies that nobody ever watches nowadays. And I think that is an experience that you can only really get there versus, with Hollywood and Vine, you can have a character meal at lots of other places. So I would go to another, if you're looking for a character meal, I would go to another place for a character meal with the Fab Five and, do sci-fi at Hollywood Studios.
All right. What about you, fam?
Given those 2 choices, I would choose Sci-Fi too. I just think that you're going to probably have a better sort of overall experience. The only thing that will impact this is the seating is odd at Sci-Fi. You can really only have so many people in each car. Yep. So as long as you know that you're all going to be separated at that point. Now, they do have some larger tables sort of in the back, but those don't really, you won't be sitting in the car. There's sort of a different situation for that. So if you think that will really impact your enjoyment, then you may want to consider Hollywood and Vine. But yeah, I think you'll have a better experience at Sci-Fi.
You put the kids in the trunk of the car. And then
yeah, just like you're in an old drive-in. And how bad do we want old drive-ins to come back, right? I mean, right now, we could all socially distance each other.
It's true.
That's how some churches around here are doing it. They're meeting in their cars, and the preacher's up front delivering the sermon. Isn't that crazy? That's pretty. Yeah, they're using like hospital parking lots for that. It's pretty cool. All right, last question today is from Amanda. She says, my family was planning to book our first Disney cruise this year, all before this crazy COVID stuff. My son has never been on a cruise, and it has been many, many years since either my husband or I have been on one. What is the ideal length and stay and cruise destinations for first timers? We definitely want to visit Castaway Cay. My son is 11 years old, by the way, if that matters. Okay, first of all, 11-year-old on a cruise, love it. Like that is, you cannot find a better age probably for a kid to go on a cruise. They're going to fall in. I mean, just seriously, my daughter's 12. She was 11 on the last cruise. That is all she talks about was the time she spent in, was it Edge or Vibe? I get them mixed up every time. I think it was Edge. She still talks to some of the friends she made there. She got into the kids' activities. She loved being with us, like the stuff we did together. She loved Castaway Cay. She loved all the stuff. So perfect age. Your son's going to fall in love. So will you guys. I would say for me, perfect length of a cruise for a first timer, if you're just trying to get your feet wet, just to kind of get a taste of it. The 7-nighters are ideal because I think you'll still love it. But I mean, if you can do, you don't want to do the 3-night Bahamas cruise. I think those are too quick. You want to do a 4, and ideally, if you can, over the summer, they have 5 nights that have double dips to Castaway Cay. You can never have enough time at Castaway Cay. Makes it leaving the first time a lot better knowing you're going back. I would say, ideally, in a perfect situation, 5-night Bahamian cruise to kind of just get your feet wet with the ships, what it's all about. Combine that with maybe a weekend before or after at Walt Disney World, just a couple nights there, pick a resort. That's what I would say is ideal to kind of, being economically feasible, like you want to go with a less expensive cruise, maybe the first time. That's what I would say. A 4-night, 5-night Bahamian with stop at Castaway Cay. What about you, Pam?
I was actually going to say the 5-night is perfect if you can do that. If not, then I'd probably do a 4-night to fit in there. But I agree, the 3-night just feels so quick, and you feel like you just sort of are getting to know the ship, and then you're off the ship already. So you'll walk away thinking, oh my gosh, I missed this and this and this and this. Like even on a 7-night, there are so many activities or things that I thought I'd get an opportunity to do, and I just don't. Mm-hmm. So if you can hit that 4 or 5-night, make sure get your feet wet, you're testing the waters per se, and then enjoy it. You rarely meet someone who doesn't really enjoy a cruise. There's just something about them. So yeah, see if you can hit that sweet spot of 4 to 5 nights.
Kind of same thing, Rikki, you think?
Yeah, 4 or 5-night minimum. I would not do a 3-night unless you absolutely have to. Just because it's so quick. You get on the ship and then you have like basically a day-ish, two-ish days. And then you're off the ship again, and it's just like it goes so fast. So, because you have to think that 3 nights, that first night counts as one of the nights, and by then you're just starting to get acclimated. You're just starting to get, understand where things are on the ship. There's just so much going on that first night that you really can't take it all in as well. So that's why I think a 4-night or a 5-night is ideal versus a 3-night, unless you absolutely have to do a 3-night.
All right, I'm going to get this last question, just to answer it myself real quick for Maggie. She says, I decided I'm running Princess next year, and now all of a sudden my whole family wants to come. Is it possible to combine race weekends with a family trip, or am I right in thinking this is a terrible idea? Okay, I just wanted to throw this one out there. She threw this in here at the last minute. Just quick thoughts on this. So I've done a lot of solo trips for race weekends. I've also done a lot of trips with my family for race weekends, and they're both great. The thing you got to consider, if your family's coming with you, it's not necessarily a terrible idea, because there's a lot of time where you are not focused on the running stuff, especially mornings, afternoons. The thing your family needs to understand is you will be sleeping on a different schedule. You may be eating on a different schedule than everybody else. You'll obviously be getting up at 2:30 in the morning to get on the buses. If you're only doing one race, it's not that big a deal. I do dopey, so it's like it's 4 days in a row. So it kind of does factor into how everybody else, has to behave, because we're all in the same hotel room. I'm going to bed at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. They're staying out. It's vacation. So that is sleeping can be an issue if you're in the same room, but it is also, there's positives to that. They can be there at the finish line. They can be there to celebrate with you when you finish the race. It's not necessarily a terrible idea, but you got to understand that, you're going to want to have your meal early. You're going to want to head back. And as long as you're cool with the rest of your family, just staying out late and just asking them to come into the room quietly and not disturb you as best they can. And if you're a light sleeper, this can be an issue. I can sleep through a tornado, so it's not such a horrible idea. But I mean, I think there's something to be said for your loved ones being there. I've always loved seeing Pam, Rikki, my family, gardeners, Emily and Elizabeth, and just Steve and everybody being out there. Brian's usually running with us. It's great to have friendly faces out there on the course and throughout the vacation as you're going through a Run Disney weekend. But it's not necessarily a bad idea, but you got to understand that it's not a typical vacation. There's a lot of different parameters you got to consider. So don't discount it yet. It's not terrible. I think you just Tanya says it exactly right. She says the family has to be willing to do things independently of you, but seeing them at the finish line is awesome. That's exactly right. They just have to kind of, you just got to bail. 6 o'clock, I'm out of here, and they got to go on, have fun without you, and you got to go to sleep and have your different kind of fun. So there you go. All right. Thanks for great questions, everybody. Thanks for hanging with us today. We appreciate that so much. Don't forget today's show brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. So when you're ready for that next Disney destination, whether it's Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Disney Cruise Line, or even Adventures by Disney, we are going to take care of you. We love our guests. We love helping them have the most magical trips ever at the best price. We're there, especially in rough times. I know a lot of folks, I've gotten feedback from some of my guests that, they've just said thanks. And again, I've thanked them a million times for sticking with us, but they've been glad that we're a team. We're working together in these tough situations because we're fed the information from Disney. We feed that right on to our guests. We make good decisions and we can do things real efficiently and very quickly. And it's just, it's always better. I'm a team sport person. I played baseball. I played hockey. I played football. And the thing is, when you got a team working together, the outcome is usually better. And that's what we are. We're a team in your planning. We're there. We advocate for you. We get you those, some people canceled early and I was, getting on Disney Cruise Line, like, look, these people were being proactive. Let's make sure they get that 125% credit. Boom. We got it for them. So just one of those things. It's a team effort. We work hard for you. We appreciate your trust and your support of our business. And it's just going to be something we continue to do year after year. So check them out today for that next Disney trip over at themagicforless.com. Let them know you heard about them here on the Be Our Guest podcast. Also, please use our Amazon affiliate link. We know that you can't hardly go to the grocery store, Target, wherever you go, Walmart anymore. Use Amazon and support us at the same time. Just click through beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. You get all your Prime benefits, no extra costs, and it really does help support everything we do. So again, beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. Give us a follow on the social media, Instagram and Twitter at beourguestpod and at beourguestmike, facebook.com/beourguestpodcast. And don't forget, we're doing the Be Our Guest podcast community check-ins. It's a live 1-hour show where you call in every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central, and on Tuesdays as well at 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central. And Mondays and Wednesdays, just kind of drop in on Facebook and we'll let you know when we go live because those times do kind of vary. All right, that's going to do it for today's show. We'll be back again on Friday where we're actually opening up the phone lines for that show as well, for calls for Pam and Rikki, since we haven't talked to them a whole lot. So stay with us if you're here a lot watching live. If not, you'll get the show here in just a couple of days. So for Pam and Rikki, I'm Mike, wishing you a great Wednesday. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon.
Boom.
Boom, 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 boom. I hook up the MacBook. Pam, check and make sure your mic is feeding the right one again. I couldn't tell on that one again. This I didn't notice it when we were talking, but I couldn't tell during the show. Oh my gosh. Let me close Chrome.
Can you hear that?
Yep, that's better. That was it.
It won't, I really wish there was a way for it to hold the settings at some point here.
Not so much better now. Oh, I didn't notice it until halfway through the show. We were talking. I didn't even notice it. All right, so the phone line is up. I think. Yes. Let me change the header real quick. Oops.
Daisy.
37.
Daisy, come here, Soupy. Come here, Daisy. What are you crying for? Crazy Daisy.
Live questions. Rikki. Us 4 7. Tomorrow's 407 day in Orlando, where you're supposed to support your local businesses. I saw. Let me copy that.
I'll be right back.
Copy that. Copy that. All right, everybody that's here live. We got a lot of folks in here. You can call in. We'll have the phone lines open. Save as. Did I save that? I did. Yep. Non-edit. Yep. Okay. So once we get through the introduction, go ahead and give us a call, 407-413-9395. And if not, we'll talk about other stuff. There was a question in here that I think I wanted to use. Ooh, Tyler, if you're still here, do Dopey when you can. It's awesome.
Okay. Sorry about that.
I like that our chats are loading now.
I know that part's nice.
Marletta had a question. Where was it? Yeah, it's gone now. Too many comments have scrolled away. Okay, I got a topic that we can do. I'll throw it on you.
Wait, we're not calling?
Well, if people don't call.
Oh.
I mean, people probably will call. Got hooked up. But if not, we got to have backup. You always got to have a backup. Got to remember.
Man.
Okay.
Plan A, B, C, D, E, F, and G.
So 1637. Okay. Here we go. Welcome to episode 1637 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Friday to you. We hope that you are doing well. You're hanging in there wherever you are. We're going to make it through this. Just think, every podcast that comes out, and Lord knows we've had a lot of them on the feed lately, we're one day closer to being back to normal, traveling to our favorite places, hanging out with our favorite people, and eating at our favorite restaurants. How cool will that be? Just to sit down at a restaurant and somebody hand you a menu instead of just like your wife saying, what are we having? What are we going to have tonight? You know, leftovers? I don't know. So anyway, we're closer. We're getting there and we're going to make it through this. And we appreciate the support you've given the show. We love our community check-ins. And today is going to have kind of a community check-in feel because I have the MacBook Air hooked up. So if you want to call in and you're watching live, of course, now if you're downloading the podcast on a feed and you're out on a run, don't pop out the cell phone and give us a call. We're not going to answer. Ricky's probably still asleep. I'm probably on the phone with Disney. Pam, same thing. So, you know what? This only works for our live callers today. You know how it works. But we'll have another community check-in if you're listening on Friday tonight, 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central, also Saturday and Sunday night as well. So if you want to call and talk to me, and we might have Pam and Ricky on this weekend too, be ready. We can do that. But during this show, we're going to have some live calls. If you want to call in, we have it hooked up. But joining me today, we have Ricky from touringplans.com and themouseforless.com. I got it right. What's going on, Ricky?
I would very much like to go to a restaurant. So I'm so tired of cooking dinner. All I will say is that this experience has got us started on Uber Eats. We did not do Uber Eats before, but now we have done it, and genius idea. Love the idea. So yeah, we've been kind of getting our restaurant fill with Uber Eats so that I don't have to cook every night, but I still want to just go to a restaurant and not have to eat at my kitchen table or what really is going to happen on my TV trays and while watching TV. So
we do eat at the kitchen table, which we usually didn't do very much, which I really do enjoy. All four of us at the table. Because we used to eat out a lot, and it's nice. I do like that. Now we don't have Uber Eats. We have Paige Eats. We send her out every day to get the food, and she comes back with it. So, but we do eat from home too. So it's kind of a balance. But we're trying to support our local restaurants that we love. Yeah, you know, we're having tough times too. So if we can get pickup, it helps. So we have somewhere to go when we get out of this. All right, Pam Forrester is also joining us. She's co-owner of the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Friday, Pam.
Happy Friday. I know, right? It's kind of a weird thing. Like Steve and I would do happy hour at the end of the week because that was the end of the week, and we made it to the weekend and we looked forward to it. We always went out. It was sort of our little date night every week, and yeah, it's weird. We do date night at home like every other night.
It's all the time now.
Right. I'm like, oh yeah, here we are at our dining room. Awesome. Again.
Yeah.
Okay. Another day in paradise. That's
like I'm gonna go to work now upstairs in my office, and you're going downstairs to where your office is, and Hannah's going to her office, and so there we are.
Our offices are they're loose offices. We have the kitchen table, we have the love seat, and I do have my office in the basement, but I put up my wall because Paige has an office right behind me where she's doing her stuff. So yeah, it's funny how everything can be an office nowadays. But
I know, right?
All right, so here's my question.
I write this off on my taxes now at this point.
Yeah. Everything is going to be a tax. It's going to be so messed up this year. All right, so again, the phone lines are open. If you want to give us a holler, 407-413-9395. We'll get you on the air. We'll put you on the show if you want to call in and ask any questions of Pam and Ricky or me even. If you want to have any Disney questions, you could life questions. We don't care at this point. Things are crazy. But here's my question I have for you guys. With this shutdown, and somebody mentioned this on one of our community check-ins not too long ago. we've done these shows in the past of right now at Walt Disney World, somebody is catching a bus from Animal Kingdom Lodge over to, Epcot, because somebody is always doing something at some point because the parks are 24/7. There's stuff going on all the time. Right now at Walt Disney World, though, there's nothing going on. So this caller called in and said, I'm just picturing the pool at the Wilderness Lodge. And, it's probably just flat. The water's flat. There's nothing going on. It's silent. And if you guys could picture one place right now at Walt Disney World, at one of the resorts or maybe even one of the theme parks, like where's a desolate place you would like to see that would be kind of like to me, like the Tower of Terror queues, kind of eerily like abandoned looking on a normal day, but it's probably kind of almost spooky right now, like at dusk. So like, what's a place you would like to see right now at Walt Disney World in this abandoned state, in this, nobody's there. It's totally isolated. So Rikki, where would you go if you could pick a place right now to drop in on at Walt Disney World with nobody there?
I mean, hands down, I think easily it's got to be Main Street USA. Just where you could see the castle, our happy place, and see just the peacefulness of an era gone by. That's kind of why we love it so much. So I really think that would be the number one place that I would want to just sit at the end, where they have those yellow and white umbrella tables, and just sit there and hang out and just watch as the world go. Well, not the world goes by, but like it really is like, it's just so peaceful there. That's where I would want to sit. It's just there. Yeah.
To me, it like the resorts kind of give me that heebie-jeebie kind of feel more than the theme parks. And I don't know why, because the theme parks have an energy. They always have music playing. But like I'm picturing, walking through Alligator Bayou at Riverside with like nobody around, nothing. Because I mean, there's times where you go through there, early in the morning, you're the only person that you see for a little bit. You don't see a lot of activity in that, that corner of the resort with the, it's got that overgrown look as it is. But I just wonder like how eerie that would be now with nobody. What about you, Pam? When you picture that, nobody's there, nothing's happening. What corners of property do you think would be most interesting?
It's so weird to even think about it, because like you, Mike, like when you walk into a resort, there is the background music. There are the smells coming from some of them, the restaurants. There is just that general like background hum of people talking or whatever. And I think that would be so odd to step into any resort. There's no music playing. Mm-hmm. There's no background hum. There's no anything. There's no people sitting on the couches or, I mean, any of these resorts. The Wilderness Lodge, you don't get to hear that awesome soundtrack that's there. Or the Animal Kingdom Lodge, the same thing. And the fact that those are both resorts that have sort of a wood floor, you always sort of hear that, people walking on it and things like that. I can't imagine what this actually feels like right now to be there. It would be eerie and sad, and just sad in some ways, because they're usually such a point of happiness and excitedness and all of that. So I'd be missing that.
Yeah, and Heath says, his DVC home resort is Boardwalk, and he just can't imagine it completely void of life, because he's exactly right. If you ever stay at Boardwalk, one of the things that's most exciting for me when I stay there is just driving up to it with that, the Boardwalk sign there with the lights, the white bulbs that light up at night. You got that big canopy. And of course the cast members come out, the valets, and they're like knickers. They want to take your car. They want to help you with luggage. And like, there's energy from that point. You're not even into the hotel yet. You're not even into the resort. Then you get into the lobby and you have people, like I said, sitting in couches. You got that little carousel. You can push the button, it plays music, and people coming and going. You can look out the windows and see Crescent Lake. It's got to be such a weird time to be there. I know they're probably there's not a lot of people working, I'm sure, right now, but I'm sure there's people here and there, doing maintenance, making sure security, stuff like that. I mean, we've seen them take the flag up every day at the Magic Kingdom, which is awesome. But it's got to be so strange, because we were talking about this on Wednesday's show, or actually we were talking before we started recording. I was talking with Pam, and with these cruise lines, when they, again, I'm guessing, but I mean, this has to be true. when they come up with their business plan for all these ships, especially a cruise line that's got lots of ships, like a Royal Caribbean or like a Carnival, they have all these ships. But I mean, even in their business plans, they probably have, the plan is 80% of the ships are always out at sea, where on any given day, 20% of the ships may be in a port doing their port day, but 80% are probably out to sea. And all of a sudden now every ship has to be ported. They're not sailing. Like, the logistics of all this has to be incredible. Pam, I mean, you've worked with Disney for a long time, and you kind of have seen behind the scenes a little bit with logistics and the logistics of all this, because it's so unprecedented. They do it in hurricanes occasionally with ships, and then even World gets shut down with a hurricane every now and then for like a day, but the people are still at the resorts. Just the logistics, they have to be rewriting the rules right now as we speak about the reopening. Like, is it going to be phased? Is it going to be resorts first, then parks first? I mean, they got to be coming up with rules, and I'd imagine they're in boardrooms saying, like, what is the best practices for something that is so unprecedented, but they have to do it the right way, and they get one shot at it when they reopen. What do you think that's like?
I don't envy that process, first of all. I mean, I just don't. I think there's so many things to take into consideration when you're thinking about this. And I think so much of it is dependent upon what the recovery looks like, what we have in our arsenal in terms of treating it and identifying people who may be either immune for one reason or another, whether they've had it and have the antibodies in their system. But I think that's the thing that makes Disney such a forward-thinking company. And I know, when the furloughs they talked about that. I know that was disappointing to some people, but I also have to say that I think that what Disney's doing is try to ensure the existence of their company as they move forward, right? Mm-hmm. And that's the responsible thing for people to do when you are part of the running of a company. I mean, it's weird. When we first started even our little company, in the beginning, it was sort of about us, but as we brought on other agents that work with us and stuff like that, it becomes about the company. That your job is to see the future when the company still exists, when you're not there anymore, right? Everyone loves to feel like they're essential to a company, but I can tell you, as a business owner, my goal is to work myself out of a job in terms of that it can go on without me, right? It doesn't need me. I'm not the reason why that all these people do that. So that is really challenging, though, because I know, in Disney's whole credence, one of the things is the safety of their cast members and their guests. That's up at the top there. So how do you take all those things into consideration and feel like you could move on doing that and doing everything else? It's really going to be challenging for them. And I think it'll be a testament to the kind of company that they are, how they do it, right? And that they're so good at pivoting and adjusting as needed. And I see them being able to do that too.
And the theme parks are such they're a destination. You can't pick them up. You can't move them. You can't, they're fixed, and the resorts as well. But we've seen through the digital part of the company where they've really, pushed progress with, releasing things to Disney Plus a lot earlier than they would have been, because they're cannibalizing the digital sales, like of the Blu-rays and, the digital downloads for a couple months before they move it over to the platform. So they are kind of, they're making choices on the fly. They're having to come up with a better way because again, this is
a company, mind you, that does not make choices on the fly very easily.
I know.
Just throw that out there.
They're forced to, which is good. I mean, but also you got to remember, we are Disney fans. We love the company. We feel loyalty to them. But at the end of the day, they're a business that's there to make money. I mean, that's you got to remember that's one of the things. I mean, that's what they do. And so they're going to look for ways to, but also making money is also keeping a guest happy at the same time. They want to have customer loyalty. So it's a balancing act, but I'm glad to see that maybe they're going to be more agile on the other side of this, where they're going to see that they can make choices quicker, like they're doing with the Disney Plus and all the digital media and stuff like that, how they're rearranging movie releases and dates and so forth. it's going to be a learning lesson for everybody in their home. How we behave is just people in the world now, but also bigger companies are going to have to be agile. I want to ask you this, Rikki, because the day we're recording, we got that press release about the college program and the cultural representatives being sent home, here in the next week or so. The fall program kind of up in the air. So what do you think that means? Because we have a lot of college program folks and they're going home. So that's going to change how the parks look when they open, I would imagine.
Yeah, it definitely is. And like you said, I feel like when they reopen, they are going to reopen in maybe phases. Just the way it seems, with them not having as much cast as they normally have. So I suspect that you might see the Magic Kingdom open, and then that'll be open for a little while, and then you might have Magic Kingdom and Disney Hollywood Studios open, and then they might have that go for a while, and then they because we're still going to have to do, I suspect, this social distancing thing as we continue on through the rest of the year or so. Not maybe to the same extent, but there's definitely going to have to be something put in place so that people aren't maybe right on top of each other. Don't fill in all the available space, that kind of thing. So I think we might see that, especially with them not having as many cast members. I think that what will happen, though, as well, when they do reopen, is that all the full-time cast members will obviously have the majority of the ability to work, meaning like they will give them the jobs first. So that is probably why I think that they've maybe gotten rid of a lot of the CP, international program, all those type of cast members, just because they're going to want to deal with their core cast members that have worked for Disney for forever first, and manage that, and then they can start adding college program and international program back in at that point. But I think we're going to see them really try to focus on their main core cast members to begin with. So
yeah, I think too what we're going to see is that you're going to have to be patient, because things were booming, like just 2-3 weeks before this started going down. Things were booming, the economy was robust. And Pam, let me ask you this. I mean, I think that we have the opportunity to bounce back really quickly. I mean, I really do. I think the economy can bounce back really quickly, because we weren't in your traditional recession where things were falling off. I mean, we were humming along. Theme park attendance, hotel occupancy, all those kind of things. I think once we but we're going to have to kind of see how it happens when people start going to ball games, people start going to concerts, people start going to fairs, parades, going to theme parks, flying again, and stuff like that. But I think that and again, crossing our fingers, because nobody knows how this stuff will go, but if things normalize to a certain extent, I think that this is something that we can learn from. We can be, safer and kind of have better ideas of what's going on. But I think we can bounce back quickly. I think we are going to have an adjustment period, though.
I think that people are really anxious to get back to a more normal life. I mean, that's something that we hear from just about everyone. Everyone I talk to is like, I am missing the normal things that I used to do. And I know that everyone is. And for so many of us, that involved travel of some sort, being able to do that. And it involved going out to restaurants, and it involved all these things. If we can pull this, together to the point where we're able to start getting back out there and doing those things, I think that so many of our businesses will be able to recover from this really quickly. And I think that that's really important for all of us for so many reasons. Just to get the money flowing through our economy, I think is going to be really important for us. And I think there's so many of us who are anxious to do that. Like, we're counting the days, minutes, and hours until we can do that in some way. So I think so too. I think that so often when things like this come up, what stands out to me again and again is the extraordinary kindness of so many people, how everyone is looking for a way to help, and you just feel it. And I think that sometimes it takes something like this for us to really reconnect with that part of us that really wants and enjoys doing that. But I think that we'll be able to quickly do that when we have the opportunity.
And I was thinking about this the other day. If you've been in the Disney community for any amount of time, you might remember they've had lots of promotions that last about a year. And one of the ones that I really, was kind of confused on when it came out, but I liked it as it went on, was that give a day, give a Disney day, which I think was about 2014, 2013. It's been quite a bit.
Oh, that was earlier, I think. Well,
it was a while back.
Yeah, it was like, I think it was like right when we started.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing was, the focus was that Disney was encouraging folks to go out in the community, work a day at a dog shelter, serve food to the homeless, whatever, do construction, Habitat for Humanity. In exchange, they would give you a day's ticket to a Disney theme park, which I thought was amazing. And I was thinking about this the other day because we're really thinking about, and we have a lot of folks in our audience that are doctors, nurses, frontline people, work at grocery stores, Walmarts, Targets, people that are custodial at a hospital, or people that, work on the, the periphery of the medical fields that are helping keep us safe. I think it would be a great gesture if somehow, if you show your credentials, these folks are rewarded with something like that. You don't have to give, it's not feasible to give a 7-day vacation or a cruise or something, but if you respond in kindness, like these families have given a lot. Many doctors and nurses can't even be around their families at this point because they're quarantining themselves and they go home because they don't want to infect their families. How awesome would it be for Disney to give a 1 day's ticket or something along that line? I mean, it doesn't have to be something extraordinary, but just to honor these people who are the heroes among us right now, because what better place to reconnect and kind of celebrate that we've made it through this trying time than, walking down Main Street, USA. A doctor needs that just as much as we do. I think it'd be a cool thing.
My gosh. Yes. I mean, yeah, I absolutely. And I think if a company is going to do something like that, it would be Disney. I mean, to honor those who have really put themselves out there like that and helped keep us going. I absolutely think that would be a fantastic idea for Disney to do. They honor our military and simple.
Yes.
They don't give them free tickets necessarily.
No, but they give them a break. Yeah,
but they give them a break, and I think that right now this is who, not that the military doesn't deserve it, but this is who deserves it as well. And I believe that they should absolutely do it for, at least a year. We know that times have been tough for you guys too. You've gone through a lot. So here's a free day, or, here's discounted tickets or something along those lines. Yeah.
I was thinking of that too. And I was thinking also, we have, if you go to the Magic Kingdom, one of my favorite things ever to do is the flag retreat ceremony at 5:00, where you go down in Town Square, they pull down the flag and they honor a veteran of the day, maybe for the next year. And I know a lot of folks would not want the recognition. I know a lot of doctors, nurses that they do their job. That's what they signed up to do. And that's kind of what it is. They don't need the recognition. They're there because that's their calling in life. And I totally get that. But how cool would it be if, like, for the next year, that day at the Magic Kingdom at, 5:00, the veterans will have their thing at 5:00. Maybe you do it at like 6:00 or 7:00. You just have like a first responder rally or something in Town Square, and you get to people just get to come down. We probably won't shake hands, but give them a round of applause at this point. Because I think as a society, we need to have a way, and Disney could give us the opportunity to recognize them, because I think the average Joe like me, I want to recognize doctors and nurses, but I don't know how. I mean, I can say it here on the podcast, but like, I don't know who in my community is a doctor or nurse. We're going to try to put up a sign in the front yard saying, thanks, doctors, nurses, everybody on the front lines. Pam, what do you think about a way to really show the folks who got their hands dirty in this pandemic? They're the ones that are standing up for all of us. How could Disney make that happen to help us all recognize those folks?
I think it's so hard because there's so many people in so many different industries who are doing extraordinary things. You know what I mean? Look, at the end of it, don't we all feel like we need to give ourselves like a pat on the back that we've gotten through it?
We made it. Yeah.
I know, right? And just in different ways. I mean, absolutely, you name some groups of folks who absolutely are helping us, but there's all kinds of people who are really doing extraordinary things. And I think that's sort of, in that way, it's tough to pick out some but not others. Every time I see one of those, like thank and then fill in the blank here, I think, oh gosh, I want to steal that and post it. And then I'm like, oh, but wait, there's like this whole
They
other
leave off
group
this
of
type
folks.
of-
Yes,
yeah.
yes, I know. And then I'm sort of reluctant to do that because whatever.
Because I'm thankful to everyone, not
Yeah,
just
right.
this section or this
Right,
section or
yeah.
or
Yeah.
even the people that I'm not thinking about that are putting themselves
I
out
know,
there,
it's true. It's just like I almost feel like we all need to just be aware of the fact that there are so many people who are doing extraordinary things and so many people who are in this. I mean, I think about the researchers and developers who are looking at vaccines and treatments, and doctors who are sort of seeing patterns and gathering sort of anecdotal observances and putting those into more practical uses to discover, like, does this help, does it not? Or how about like at our own the hospital where my husband works is where they're looking at one of those potential that at UPMC, they have that SARS antibody that they're starting to explore more, and to see how that could possibly be used to help people who have this get better. It's just extraordinary. It really and truly is, the number of people who have done such incredible things during this. It is. But that goes down to even the folks that show up every day at the grocery store. I mean, think about how quickly our country would grind to a halt if we weren't able to get most of the things. I know that there's been, certain shortages of certain things, but when you think about that, think about the way that teachers responded so quickly. Like I will just say as an example, Hannah's school, they got word on like a Thursday afternoon before. They had Friday to go in and get their stuff and get a game plan together, and they rolled it out the next week to make sure that their kids, these kids that they care about every day, get all the stuff that they need to do, and they get to learn a new system, right? This is a new system for the teachers, for the kids, for the parents, and all of that. So there's so many people who are doing so many incredible things, and it's hard to choose, how to do that. But
because you got your truck drivers that are getting the goods
yes,
to Walmart, you got the folks who are loading the trucks. It's a whole.
The people who are still manufacturing some of these things, the people who I am constantly amazed by people who had a business that was doing X and they have transformed it into doing something like making masks, making respirators, all of those things. I think that people are looking for opportunities to help. And it's, that's another great benefit of that.
Yeah, and it's one of those things too. Like I saw that New Balance has switched from making tennis shoes, sneakers to masks. And you know what? I mean, this is just me, and people can do what they want, but I'll tell you what, I've run a New Balance and I've switched kinds of shoes from time to time in my running. I wear a lot of shoes, running as many miles as I do. And I used to run the New Balance all the time back when they had the Run
Disney shoes.
So I was really loyal to them, but I switched it up. I tried Hoka's, I've tried Asics and all kinds of things. But guess what? My next pair is going to be New Balance again, just because they did that. You know what? Like they didn't have to do that. And so I am going to buy a New Balance when it's time, just because I appreciate that. I think that's the least we could do. So yeah, I think it's one of those things that, Disney's the best of the commercial, right? I mean, we can all agree that when you see a Disney commercial come on, like before all this started happening, it was that commercial with the dad, and he's seeing, the girl's going away to college, and he sees that little video of her I can't even talk about it. I'm about to cry. The commercial. Okay. But I mean, I think that coming back, how awesome would it be to have a Disney commercial where even the commercial just honors the people on the front lines, a doctor getting to take his family down Main Street USA, or, the nurse and the family riding Dumbo together. And just at the end, we believe, you made magic happen or something. I think that would be something that we could all rally around. I'd like to see a Disney commercial honoring those folks.
And can you imagine the tears? I mean, it would just be waterworks for everyone if that was a commercial. Yeah,
Shout out to Morgan, who's in the live chat. She's a Target employee. She says to keep being swamped at her store, but she's out there, and we appreciate that because they tell us, wipe down your countertops, wipe down everything that comes to your house. Well, guess what? You can't do that if you can't go to Target or Walmart and get, hand sanitizer.
Like, I still can't get paper towels and toilet paper. Let's just be perfectly honest. So I tried a couple days ago. I still can't get any.
Morgan keeps sending me all kinds of toilet paper, so I can't say it. No, just kidding. She's not. I'm just
I see. I was going to say, Morgan,
don't get Morgan fired.
We're in that precarious point at our house where we had a decent amount.
Yes.
We didn't it, but like Paige came home from Columbia, she brought hers. So I went out and got the biggest pack I could get when it started looking iffy. But now we're working through the stash.
That's
and so
where
we're like,
I am.
we're not paranoid yet, but we're starting to think about it. We're starting to try to come up with a plan.
I'm the same way. I'm starting to think like, okay, I have enough in a way, but like I still I'm getting kind of in the dangerous low section where like if I got too much lower, I couldn't find any at all, like I would be blank out of luck. But I mean, but I'm just saying, like, it's just one of those things where I'm like, I'm getting a little nervous now. They better start putting some toilet paper in stores, and people better stop buying them. Like, it's going out of style. I mean, in a way, it kind of is. But
the good news is the leaves are coming in on the trees. So
I mean, I guess if I have to, I better go find a really, really. The problem is my neighborhood doesn't have a lot of trees, so I'm in trouble. So we don't have a tree in my front yard. So.
We all play Survivor, and there's ways that they take care of themselves on the island, and I think we're all going to end up with long hair, beards, gray hair, and we're going to be in trouble. No, so wrapping this up though, this little conversation we're having on Disney, I think that it's going to be one of those things that when you come through something unexpected like this and something so unprecedented, we learn lessons, and one of those things is, and I'm a history buff, so. Either way, we're going to be able to say, as long as we all stay safe and stay healthy and follow the guidelines, which I think everybody's doing a pretty good job. We're starting to get it. Everybody's starting to figure it out. This is for the best. It stinks right now. We're very social people, especially folks that are Disney fans. We like being with people. We like seeing shows. We like being in a show. But I think, this time apart where we're staying separated is working, and that will come out stronger on the other side. But I think it's going to be one of those things, hopefully. And again, I'm a very optimistic person. We'll look back in a decade and say we made it through. It was a tough time. I mean, I'm not going to doubt it's a tough time. People are losing jobs. People are being asked to do things they were not ever expected to do. Like you mentioned, Hannah, Pam, my wife, is not a technology person. She's an old school type teacher, but she was having a video chat with her students today, checking in on all of them today on Google Hangouts. But the thing is, when she goes back to school, she's going to have that in her arsenal. That's a tool in her belt now for a kid that might have to have a surgery and they're out for a month. Now she can check in really easily with the student, and they can have that relationship they wouldn't have had a month before. So kind of closing this out, looking back on this, hopefully this is in the rear view mirror 10 years from now. What lesson do you think we'll learn, Pam? And what lesson do you think we'll learn as far as like our vacationing and our Disney trips and so forth, or just life in general? What do you think?
So, I mean, I think that I'm going to just do my best to. This gave me, whether you have a relationship with the God or not, this has to be that moment where you feel like you're supposed to learn something from this, right? That was like, hey, and it gives you a moment to really see what's important to you. And I've been able to, you always think that, right? And if someone would ask you to identify the things, you probably could. But this has done it in a way that saying it or even imagining it could not. And my family and friends, the people that I care about, of course, having all the essentials that you need, and travel is still right up there for me. I just, in ways that I can't even put my finger on, it adds so much to my life, those new experiences and the opportunity to meet you all. Like, if I didn't travel, I wouldn't have met either of you.
Nope.
This wouldn't have happened. And I wouldn't have been able to meet all the other great people that are in my life. That's what travel has brought to my life. And I almost feel like, what am I missing out on now that I'm not traveling? I mean, of course, the opportunity to go to my favorite places in the world, but what else am I missing out on that I couldn't even anticipate, right? Who would have thought that traveling would result in this, right? So
Yeah.
what else that I could not anticipate am I missing out on now? And I just, I will find different ways to make that happen in different ways, I think. And I think that's important. I mean, I know that there are lots of businesses that are looking at the ways that they do things, and we absolutely are looking at the ways that we do things as a company and finding ways to improve or change or adapt or whatnot. That's going to happen. But personally, it's the travel thing still.
It is. And you're right. I mean, travel opens so many doors. If I hadn't taken my girls to the places we've gone, they wouldn't have met the people we've met and got to experience cultures, that we didn't. We've got to meet friends from the UK. We've got to meet friends from Japan. We've got to meet friends from Australia. And it's just, for a family from the middle of the United States, especially like us in Missouri, that's very unusual for families like mine, so I'm glad that we have that. Rikki, final thoughts. What do you think? A decade looking back, what are we going to see?
It's so tough to predict the future of what we are going to see. I think we are like you said, I think we're going to see what really matters to us. You're right, Pam. I think we are going to see how important those relationships that we've created really are. And that we need to do a better job of making sure that people know how important those relationships are. I feel like that's going to be like, that's something that maybe had been lost a little bit, like you were saying, you gotta have a moment where you just like take it in and you're like, wait, what was I doing? And I really think that that's going to be the key is figuring out, okay, this is what's really important in life, and this is what we really need to focus on doing. And I think it's a good reset. And I think that that's what it will be, looking back in 10 years. I think it will be, this was our reset moment. And this is how we innovated. Because, we are coming up with so many different ways to do things nowadays that we weren't, we had the technology, obviously, to do those things and things like that, but we weren't really doing those things. And I think that, in a weird way, you hopefully you look back, like Mike was talking about, you look at the past, and you look back in like times of like World War II and things like that. And obviously, not many of us that probably listen to this podcast were around at that time. But you look at how life changed from that moment on. And I feel like this is going to be like the same kind of change in our culture. Like it's going to impact every single aspect of our lives, much like World War II did in that way. And things are going to change so much that we're going to figure things out. And I think the country and other places in the world are going to move forward that much more in ingenuity and things like that as we move forward. So I think it's going to be in 10 years, we're going to see just this massive explosion of, advances that maybe we weren't thinking about, even close to thinking about back then. But because we were in this time, we think about them now. So
yep, I think we'll do things just like let's see, Teresa said, Aaron said, we'll have a lot more telecommuting. A lot of people can do their jobs probably remotely nowadays, and I think the biggest thing is we'll be more appreciative of the things we get to do.
Absolutely,
like everything is going to be better on the other side. I mean, going to church with your, because I know a lot of churches are doing online church. That's great. I mean, that's a new way, especially if you're shut in. We have a lot of folks that are shut in. They can't get to church. That's great. You can take it right there to them. And that's something that our church really didn't broadcast. A lot of churches did. We didn't. Now we can take that opportunity to, for outreach. But I mean, just like you said, having a relationship with your waiter, waitress at the restaurant, or, just being kind to the person at the grocery store, and just, I think we're going to be appreciative of things. And I think we needed that reset.
I think that's the big word. We're going to be a lot more appreciative than we had been in the past. So.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right. Well, kind of a different show today, but a fun show nonetheless, we hope. And we have these shows every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, the regular podcasts. And of course, we're doing the live community check-ins Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central, where you can call in. We talk about all kinds of stuff. Also on Tuesdays at that same time, Mondays and Wednesdays, a little bit different time, but just watch Facebook for that. Don't forget today's show brought to you by our friends over at the Magic for Less Travel. When you're ready to head to a Disney destination, the agents over at the Magic for Less are standing by to help you plan the most magical vacation ever, whether it's Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Disney Cruise Line, or Adventures by Disney. They are experts. They're going to take great care of you. Drop by their website. It's a great place to start your trip planning. It's themagicforless.com. Great pictures, resort maps, menus, all the information on the Disney dining plans. There's 4 of them now, by the way. And just a great place to get your feet wet with that trip. And while you're there, fill out that quote form and an agent will get back to you right away. So check them out today over at themagicforless.com. Please continue to use our Amazon affiliate link. It's at beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. You get all your Prime benefits and it costs you nothing extra. And it really does help support everything we do, especially in these crazy times. Please use it as often as you can. beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. Give us a follow on the social media, Instagram and Twitter at BeOurGuestPod and at BeOurGuestMike. And of course, Facebook.com/BeOurGuestPodcast. All right, that's going to do it for today's show. We'll be back again on Monday with another fun show. And of course, the community check-ins each night live on Facebook. So for Pam and Ricky, I'm Mike, wishing you a great Friday. Stay healthy, stay safe, and we'll see you real soon.
You know, it's funny. You always said stay safe, and now like it really means something.
Yes,
Like it's not like it didn't mean anything before, but now it really means something. Like it's not.
You know what I noticed? I forgot to turn on my overhead lights when we started, so it kept getting darker and darker. I mean, I have the window, but like
yeah, that's all right.
Yeah,
it works.
So,
Mood
I got
lighting.
darker and darker.
Mood lighting.
It is lighting. All right, well, I'll talk to you guys.
All right, hang in there.
All right, we got this,
everybody.
guys. We got it.
Bye.
All right, see you, everybody. Bye.